We did it! You campaigned for it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now. And it feels good, I have to be honest. 4.5 years of work changing the party. This is what it is for. A changed Labour Party, ready to serve our country, ready to restore Britain to the service of working people. And across our country, people will be waking up to the news, relieved that a weight has been lifted, a burden finally removed from the shoulders of this great nation. And now we can look forward again, walk into the morning, the sunlight of hope, pale at first, but getting stronger through the day, shining once again on a country with the opportunity, after 14 years, to get its future back.
Keir Starmer took over the reins from Rishi Sunak, following the Labour Party's landslide victory in the 2024 UK general elections. The new Prime Minister claimed that he would work to undo most of what the Conservative Party had built during the last few years when they were in power. One of the first things Keir did was end the UK-Rwanda agreement, opening the door for 100,000 asylum seekers to get on small boats and attempt to enter the UK illegally. The next thing he did was hire 3 first-time political candidates and known Islamists into Parliament. Where is the UK going?
In spite of rising Islamophobia, a record number of Muslims were elected to the House of Commons in the UK's recent election. A record number of Muslim MPs have been elected this general election, with 4 additions from the 2 years ago, making the total number to be 19. And the 2017 general elections, 15 Muslim MPs were voted in, 12 from the Labour Party and 3 from the Conservatives. However, Muslims in the UK are far from a monolithic voter bloc. Their 3.4 million population is considered electorally significant. Out of the 220 women elected to Parliament, 10 were Muslims. During the campaign, the Labour Party fielded 33 Muslim candidates, while the ruling Conservative Party put forward 22. Unfortunately, that's despite making up the numbers in the House of Commons. Many Muslims are pessimistic about their future in the country after Boris Johnson's Conservatives won a landslide. Johnson had previously made anti-Muslim comments.
Sadiq Al-Hassan in North Somerset, Ibtisam Mohammed in Sheffield County, and Zubia Ahmed in Glasgow South West were welcomed by the Labour Party. Meanwhile, pro-Palestinian independent candidates were successful in other parts of the country as well. To name a few, Shokat Ahmed of Leicester South, Iqbal Mohammed of Dewsbury, Adnan Hussein of Blackburn, and Ayub Khan at Birmingham Perry Bar. According to the press, the new Labour independent coalition is said to be the most diverse in British history. As many as 89 MPs are from minority backgrounds, and several of them were first-time candidates who managed to enter Parliament.
It's the first election held in July since 1945. Around 46 million of us are eligible to vote, including the man who called this election 6 weeks ago, Rishi Sunak, arriving alongside his wife in his North Yorkshire constituency. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, was casting his ballot in North London, and elsewhere in the capital, Sir Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats. John Swinney, the SNP leader, popped into his polling station in central Scotland. There are 40,000 polling stations, some in unusual locations. Across the country, millions of us have been turning out to vote in village halls, leisure centres, schools, even the local pub. Now, this is the first general election in which you'll need photo ID, something like a driving licence or passport. And so far, most of the people we've spoken to have remembered.
I had to remember definitely, otherwise we'll have to do a second trip. It was fine, because we do it for other things as well, so just showing an ID it didn't make a difference.
This is the first time, isn't it?
First time, yeah, so, and I don't think we've ever had any issues, or I don't know. I always say if something's not broke, don't try and fix it, so I don't really see the need for it.
It confuses people, like this one.
If you preferred a postal vote but haven't sent it back, you can still drop it off at a polling station in England, Scotland or Wales, or ask someone else to do it for you. There are a few hours left of decision day as we elect 650 MPs. Broadcasters aren't allowed to report details of election issues or campaigning until 10 o'clock tonight, when the stations close and we get the first exit poll.
But is this where the UK wants to lead itself into the future? Sadiq Al-Hassan became the new MP of North Somerset defeating his political rival, Conservatives' Liam Fox, and ending a 32-year tenure. Al-Hassan isn't the first Muslim candidate to win a seat in the area. He's also one of the very first Labour candidates to become MP for North Somerset. In his victory speech, after securing close to 20,000 votes, Al-Hassan stated that this would mark a new day in the area's history and the whole of the United Kingdom. He claimed that people had voted for change, and he aspired to deliver it.
Well, I think the Muslim vote is supported by a wide plethora of organisations, so we cannot define it as one thing, but we can see that some of the supporters are very troubling, and the activities of the Muslim vote suggest that this is a Muslim Brotherhood strategy. So the Muslim Association of Britain backs the Muslim vote. This is who Michael Gove has said is essentially the British affiliate of the Muslim Brotherhood. And we have MEND, which has just been exposed as on the list of extremist organisations to which Labour must now distance itself from and has agreed to distance itself from. So these backers are very troubling. And then when you look at the activities of the Muslim vote, that indeed they're trying to create an ethnic voting bloc that will bring about Islamic interests in the UK. And we look at what the Muslim Brotherhood aims to do, which is to bring Islam to the global fore, create a global caliphate through democratic, non-violent means in the main. Qaradawi, the ideal of the Muslim Brotherhood, says not through the sword but through ideology, and points towards voting and creating a global Muslim Brotherhood that focuses on key issues, indeed like Palestine, which therefore it's no surprise that Hamas is actually the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So it's all linked up, which is why we see so much of a Palestine focus.
Still, Ibtisam Mohammed, who won a seat in Sheffield County, defeated one of Labour's very own, Paul Blomfield, who'd been the MP since 2010. Blomfield might have retired from the post, but it showed this was the first time that Sheffield County had seen someone from an ethnic minority in a position of power. Mohammed was up against the Green Party's minority candidate as well, Angela Argenzio. Lucy Stevenson was the candidate from the Tories, not an ethnic minority, and she came in third place with less than 3,000 votes. On the other hand, Mohammed secured a win with 52.1% of the overall votes. That's over 16,000. Argenzio came in second with a little over 9,000 votes.
And this story got every single hair on my journalistic neck standing on end. I have been following adherently the Muslim Vote, which is an organisation on Twitter, but not just on Twitter. It's set up to try and support and project the messages of independent candidates who were standing on the pro-Palestine ticket. And now people sort of think, oh, well, it's just a noise, isn't it? It's not going to get anywhere. Well, was it just a noise when Jonathan Ashworth lost his seat in Leicester East? He was one of the big dogs of the Labour Party, lost to a candidate on the pro-Gaza ticket, pro-Palestine ticket. Was it just a noise when Jess Phillips talked about female campaigners having car tyres slashed, being shouted at? She was almost in tears on that stage in Birmingham. Was it Birmingham Yardley? Birmingham, I forget what the constituency is called. But, this is serious stuff happening in this country. Have we all just forgotten the fact that there was that Conservative MP, the gay Conservative MP, who's actually had to stand down because his office was set on fire and he had death threats? Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. Mad. Are we just going to brush this under the carpet and ignore it? Are we going to ignore the fact that we've now got 6 candidates who've all stood on this pro-Palestine ticket in our Parliament? Are we going to ask who they are, what they think of Hamas? Are we going to ask who are the groups and organisations behind the Muslim vote? Well, do you know what? I am. And the person who's got the answers to all of those questions.
During her victory speech, Ibtisam, the daughter of a Yemeni steelworker who'd migrated to the UK in the 1980s, claimed that a ceasefire in the Middle East was of paramount importance to her. Ibtisam has been very vocal about her support for pro-Palestinian causes and claimed that her landslide victory proved that her constituents wanted someone to lead the way into bringing back peace in the Middle East. In her speech, she thanked everyone for voting for her and claimed that she heard their concerns, restating over and over again that she would aim toward resolving conflict in the Middle East.
Now, I know that people are angry about what's happening in the Middle East, and I said live on TV, and I say to this day, if me resigning as an MP now would bring a ceasefire, I would do it. I would do it. And I'll be honest with you, if Labour get into government, we are limited. I will be honest. I'm not going to promise you, because Biden is the US, who has way more influence, has only got limited influencing that. And Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all of these people, we are all working to stop what's happening at the moment. We want to see that. So I promise you that's what we want to see. And if Labour get into power, we will recognise Palestine. I will push not only to recognise, but there is nothing to recognise at the moment, sadly. It's decimated. We have to rebuild Palestine. We have to rebuild.
However, critics weren't swayed by what Mohammed had to say. The fact that she won a seat in North Sheffield furthered the idea that the UK had laxed its migration policies for too long, with the British community now being overrun with migrant communities. In addition, they claimed that Mohammed's victory speech had little to nothing to do with the UK and the people of her area. Instead, she furthered the pro-Palestinian cause. Critics claimed that she played on everyone's sentiments, knowing that it was a hot issue and would win her the popularity vote.
Well, Keir's going round. This is another one of his big deterrents. People smugglers will be treated the same as terrorists. Who cares? So what? They're criminals. Arrest them. Send them to jail. Terrorists. Oh, yeah, big deal. Won't make any difference. While he's going round again issuing that guff, guess what? He's also said to 100,000 migrants back here in Britain, 92,000 of whom were due for deportation. They weren't allowed to apply for asylum because they came here illegally. They've been allowed to stay now. They've effectively been given amnesty and basically sort of let out and said, well, there, here's Britain, enjoy. Off you go, wander the streets, do what you like.
Zubia Ahmed was also able to win the Labour's seat in Glasgow, using the same rhetoric. Before the general election, surveys showed that Muslim citizens placed the Gaza conflict as one of their 5 top motivators when selecting candidates. Meanwhile, non-Muslim voters placed it much lower. In total, 44% of Muslim voters wanted a candidate that was overwhelmingly pro-Palestine, while only 12% of the general population placed resolving the conflict as a key decision-maker. Ahmed was able to secure a win against Scottish MP Chris Stevens, following the Scottish National Party's fall from grace in recent years. Again, he stated that he would work toward resolving the conflict in his victory speech, similar to Mohammed's. But what about placing British needs above all else?